I think in any organization, there are people who are just struggling with life circumstances, with work circumstances, with new leadership, accountability systems. And so I don't think it's realistic to expect people to be on board from day one. And we didn't. And I think that's one thing we did that worked is we knew there were going to be naysayers and people who thought this was the flavor of the week and it will go away eventually. And so that was okay because you need those people because once they're on board, you've got everybody on board. But a couple of things we did was just accept that not everybody was going to be in agreement or believe that we were doing the right thing for the organization. But the most important thing was the principle from the book is that you have to start with the leadership team. And we promised that this wasn't going to be rolled out to managers and it wasn't going to be rolled out to frontline staff until the leadership team had gone through multiple rounds of the executive team effectiveness survey. Then we would stretch into managers, help them go through the survey process, gain that learning, gain that understanding, see where they needed some self awareness or maybe reinforcement of things they were doing really well. And then we would roll that out to staff. And then we followed that. I think it was two, maybe even probably 3 years after the fact that we actually put our values into our performance appraisals for every year. So it was 3 years before we ever held staff accountable to any of our values in a really structured and formal way. Obviously, we introduce the concepts, we post our organizational constitution, we talk about our values every day at Huddle. We send out our constitution to potential recruits and potential employees so they know what they're coming into, but we never asked them to do anything. We followed through on our promise to say, we will do this first. You're going to assess us against the values. Then you'll assess your managers against the values. And then we will talk about how this is going to look as a whole organization with everybody being held accountable to what those values mean to us.
Perfect approach. And it's even the awareness that not only are we not going to have everybody bought in on day one, and we're not even asking people to pretend they are, but it's the idea that 18 months in, we may have two of five things really accomplished and really in place. And we can't accelerate it faster than the organization is willing to embrace it. And it has to be that senior leadership team first. So how did you stay aware of cool traction happening? And again, Mark and I were both very impressed with there's some lean things here. Like during the huddles, you do talk about culture. And it was natural to pull into that. And you had managers taking on projects that were very much cultural, kind of not only foundational concepts, but important implementation that needed to happen. And senior leaders didn't have to drive all that. So you were gaining traction and also inviting people in. And you had some folks that were pretty leery, even 3 years in. And we talked about beneficial attrition, that you're going to lose some folks that just, you're, I don't like these people. I'll never like these people. I'm not going to stay here. But there's also some folks that might have had exceptional technical skills, practitioner skills, but never quite got to even civility, much less respect. And how did you all decide to manage those folks that were outliers?
Hmm. That's so difficult, especially when you're working in healthcare because patients rely and have relationships with that person as they appear as the practitioner in the exam room. And so that can be different people. You can have people with a wonderful bedside manner who deeply care about their patients, who do the right things, and yet they struggle with interpersonal conflict with the people that they work with on a regular basis. And they have a cadence and routine and differing types of humor. And so I think most of it was just about coaching on that awareness of it does mean a lot that you have amazing patient reviews and that your patients trust you and send others to you. That's really important. There's a performance piece there. And also, you have to be a good teammate and someone who participates and contributes to the organization as a whole because it's a web. You can't pull on one part of the web and not have it tug in a different area. And so I think just starting to coach from a place of awareness that it's not enough to be really good with just your patients. If you aren't also good with your team, with your leaders, when you're out in the community with your desert sage badge on or your vest, it has to be all the time when you're a representative of the organization. So I think that awareness was a key element